Hey beautiful people, this is Dr. Tanya Cole again, coming to you from the Beauty of Cancer. And today we are at the Wig Doctor. And you guys know, if you've been following my blog, that I was not a big fan of wigs when we started this whole process because it was hot and I was having hot flashes and I did not like the way the wigs made me feel. But now that it's getting cooler and I've had a chance to play with a few of them, I found that I really actually like the wigs now. But I don't know much about them, and I met Dr. Erica Gamble, who is our guest today, who's going to tell us all about wigs. Welcome, Dr. Gamble.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Cole, for having me, and I am Dr. Gamble, coming to you from the Wig Doctor. So excited to be here.
Now, I was introduced to Dr. Gamble through a friend of mine, and you would never know it, but she has a full head of hair.
Yes.
But she loves wigs and has been wearing wigs for years, and she's going to tell us all about wigs. And you know, I've run into a lot of questions since I've been trying to find wigs, and the biggest question that I have is, what is the difference between human hair and synthetic hair?
Okay, good question. The biggest difference between human hair and synthetic hair, so there's lots of differences. I'll start with the expense. Human hair is just like our own hair, right? And so if it's a human hair wig, it has to be cared for, it has to be washed, it has to be conditioned, it has to be treated, and it really, really has to be maintained. So it would be just like your own hair. If it's a rainy day and you're going out in the rain, that human hair wig is going to do pretty much what your natural hair would do. Human hair wigs offer more versatility in that you can be more creative with it. You can cut it, you can color it, you can style it, you can do pretty much anything to that wig. So those are sort of like the benefits of the human hair wig. Synthetic wigs are pretty much the opposite. You cannot add color to a synthetic wig. You can cut them, of course, but most synthetic wigs you cannot curl. So you can buy a synthetic wig, you may like the pattern of it. After a while it gets old, you see that the curls are loosening or falling out, or just not looking good. You really pretty much have to toss that wig. And of course, synthetic wigs are right out the box. Take them out the box, shake them, put them on, you're good to go. Yeah.
Now I've noticed too that wigs, the cap of the wig is different. I've heard, lace, full lace, front lace, partial lace, no lace.
Yeah.
What's the difference between all of these different wig cap constructions?
There's so many different. So I'll start with the lace, and I think there's a misconception too. I think a lot of people feel like if you have a lace wig, you have to have it glued down to your head or to your scalp, which is not true. This is a lace wig that I have on. The difference with the lace wigs are it's supposed to give you a more natural look. So you're supposed to be able to see around the edges of the hair where your hair actually starts. But for people who have thinning hair, sometimes the lace doesn't work for them because they don't have anything around there to kind of camouflage. Some of the lace wigs come with what they call baby hair. So we're all familiar with baby hairs. Some of the wigs come with baby hair. So you'll see in the front and the sides of the wigs, there'll be little patches of baby hair, and around the back. So it really gives it the natural look. The wigs that have the what they call the mono caps are cool for like what you were describing. It's hot. So if it's hot and your hair sweats, that wig is supposed to keep you cool. Now it doesn't mean that it will, but the way that it's made is for lighter. And then there are some wigs that don't come with any caps. Those are, yeah, there are some that they just don't, and that could be for people who want to wear them as a partial wig. So they'll have combs attached to them where you can leave your natural hair out, and you can attach the wig to the back or to the front, to the side, however you want to wear it. Gives it a more natural look, and then you can comb over your hair however you choose to wear it. So yeah, there are a lot of different options. Yes, a lot of different options.
But when you buy, maybe say a synthetic wig off the shelf, or even a human hair wig off the shelf, is there a way to make that particular wig look more natural?
Yeah, so you can make your wigs look more natural. I think just with a little bit of TLC. I always caution people with synthetic wigs, you don't want to over comb, over brush, you don't want to overspray it or overuse chemicals. The first thing I recommend when you take a wig out of the box or off the shelf is you shake it. You turn the cap inside out, so I could have demonstrated. Turn the cap inside out and you just give it a good shake. After you do that, you kind of let it just, you know, the hairs will fall in place. You put it on however you want, and I always tell people play around with it. Like for example, this here has a part. It doesn't have to be worn to the side. You can twist it to the front. You can wear it to this side. You get a feel of how you like it, whatever looks good on you. And then you just kind of give it a, you know, a toss around. If you feel like it needs a little bit of spray for revitalization, you can do that, but you just want to do gently.
Now, what kind of spray can you use on a synthetic wig?
So I have some examples of wig spray. My favorite wig sprays are by Awesome, this is a wig leave-in conditioner is what they call it, but it's also a revitalizer. It nourishes, you know, it replenishes it, replenishes the look, and it really gives it a good smell. This also is a wig and leave-in conditioner spray, and they call it, you know, like a plus. It says for human hair. You can use it for human and or synthetic. And the next image is also my next favorite. It's an avocado and shea butter, and so what happens is it gives it that softness where it doesn't, it's not sticky, it's not stiff, but it's a more natural feel. And so these run about $7 or $8. This is what I recommend.
And how often should you use something like that?
You know, if it's a synthetic wig, I would say maybe once every week. And if it's a human hair wig, maybe a couple times a week, depending on how you're using your wig. Like if you're working out in it, if you're sleeping in it, which I don't recommend, but some people sleep in their wigs. If you sleep in your wig, when you get up, you want to give it that freshness, so you can give it a spray.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now, how do you know, I had a lot of problems when I first started trying to find wigs, of finding the best wig from the shape of my head, and the best color for me. Now, what's a good way, I guess, to do that if you don't really have help?
So you want to make sure that when you go into a wig store, there's lots of lighting. The one thing you want to be careful of is if you go into a wig store, there's not a lot of lighting, you don't get a real good idea of what that wig is going to look like. I suggest a lot of lighting. If the wig store doesn't have lighting, you may ask if you can step outside. Now that may be problematic, but you want to get as much natural light as you can, because you really want to get a good feel of that color for your skin. Also too, you want to stay away from colors that wash you out. So for example, if you have a darker skin tone, you want to make sure that you have something that actually stands out, so something vibrant. But you don't have to go crazy. If you just want a wig that's just for every day, you can stick to your basic blacks, browns, you know, things that really match. But I often see people with a lot of crazy colors going on, and I know some people like it for the fun of it. So for example, this wig is platinum. Many people think it's gray. Now everybody can't wear this. You have people who are fair skin or lighter skin, it's just gonna be a wash. It looks better on darker skin tones. However, you wear what you feel comfortable with. But it's best to really get a lot of lighting when you're trying a wig, so you can actually see what it's really gonna look like when you're out in the sun or outside.
Now, do wigs come in different sizes? Or how do you measure your head to know what size wig to wear?
So most wigs that are store-bought are average. Average, we don't know what average is, but most of them say average. It's a standard size. There are wigs that come small. That's really a special order, because most of the wigs are just a standard size. If you need a smaller wig, that's going to be more custom, where your head is going to have to be measured from end to end, and that's going to have to be made on a cap. If you have an extra large head, which there are people who do, it's the same thing. You would have to get it measured, because standard wigs come for one size, and so once you put that wig on and you notice that it's really snug, if it's giving you a headache, if it's tight around here, or if it's giving you tightness around there, you want to stay away from that, because it's not your correct size. But no, most wigs come in average.
Okay. Now, what's the best way to store wigs?
Storage for wigs. So I always recommend that once you have worn your wig for the day, you come home and you're ending your day. Most people, I find, take the wig off, toss it on the bed, on the counter, and they forget about it.
Guilty.
You don't want to do that. So there are some options. The first option is Mr. Styrofoam or Mrs. Styrofoam. Now this is probably a male, but it doesn't matter. This is your standard wig heads. They sell them in most of the beauty supply stores. They run about $4. This is going to keep the shape of the wig. One thing that happens over time, if you don't store it properly, the shape of the wig will eventually start to fade away. So when you put it on, it doesn't have that life to it. It doesn't have that shape. It doesn't have the structure. This keeps it sized up very nicely, and it also keeps it just clean. You want to make sure that it's not on the floor or hanging down. You want to make sure that it's just stored on the wig. Also, I recommend these, not so much for everyday use, but this is good for travel. So you can put it together like this. Now, if you want to use it at home, you can, but if you notice, this is not a flat surface. So what can happen over time is these little springs here and here will give you your wig indentation. So you want to be careful of that, but it's good for travel because this is a little big to fit in a suitcase. So this comes apart. It's just two simple pieces. You pull it apart, it's plastic, and you just, if I can, well,
it always happens when you're on
yes, all right, there we go. Yay. And you lay it together just like that. It's very flat. You can put it in your suitcase and voila, you have your wig stand. So I recommend these for people who travel occasionally from time to time, but I also recommend the styrofoam wigs for everyday usage. And also, and I don't have any to show, but there's what we have called wig boxes. A lot of people, if you have a wig that say you only wear for special occasions, you want to keep that in a wig box up on the shelf.
Okay.
You know, and because they have to really be certain temperatures if they're humid here, because again, they'll start to fade, they'll start to, I don't know what happens, but it just depends on the chemical that's used. Things can start to happen, especially for synthetic wigs, and then it can start to smell.
Okay.
So wig boxes are recommended for maybe special occasion wigs, yes.
Okay. Now, if you're someone who sweats a lot, what's a good thing for people that sweat a lot in their
Sweat
hair?
liners, which is very good. So sweat liners are a liner that you can get, and it protects your hair. It's supposed to protect from the sweating. What it does is it's a liner, and I don't have any here because they're usually special order. So you'll measure the head. Once you see if a person is a small, medium, large, or what have you, you'll order the liner, you'll put it on. This liner has a special equipped like band that goes around from the front to the back, and it's supposed to absorb so that it's not like dripping down on your face. I've seen people with wigs on and the sweat is literally coming down out of the wig. So it's supposed to stop the sweating from here, but it also is supposed to have a cooling agent in the top that'll help you wear that wig comfortably. It may not work for everyone, but I think it's a good option for people to try if they want that.
I want to try that.
For sweating, yes.
Having hot flashes and I'm sweating, so.
Now, or the wig caps are really not made for sweat protection because you should have a wig cap on anyway. Now, there are some caps that have mesh, like where they're called mesh caps, where they have holes in them for the coolness. But if you have them like the nylon stocking cap, that's not going to help with sweating. That's gonna add to the sweating. So you want to do a mesh cap or a special wig liner. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now we know all about wigs. We know the difference between real hair and synthetic hair. I say real hair and fake hair. We know how to take care of them, store them, size them.
Yes.
So I want to thank Dr. Gamble.
Thank you.
Here at the Wig Doctor. And Dr. Gamble, tell us where you're located. How can they come find the Wig Doctor?
Yes, so I'm excited to be here. I'm in Marietta. The address is 595 Roswell Street in Marietta, and I'm actually less than a mile from Marietta Square for those of you who are familiar with Marietta Square, right off of 75. So if you exit 75, exit 267, the Marietta exit, you can find me there. Also, I'm at www.wigdoctor.com or Instagram at ATL Wig Doctor. So I look forward to seeing you.